Welcome everyone to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross, where we are your resource for education, connection, and collaboration to support you on your wellness journey. And I would like to start by thanking our sponsors, Bill Walters and White Sands Premier Travel, because these sponsored appearances is what makes Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross possible. Bill's journey is one of resilience and dedication. After facing the challenges of caring for a special needs daughter and a mother battling Alzheimer's, he has transformed his pain into purpose. Bill made a heartfelt promise to ensure no other family experiences the hardships that he did. So unlike many advisors focusing solely on wealth management, Bill specializes in supporting families like yours, navigating the complexities of caregiving, planning for special needs children, and balancing college savings with retirement goals. His mission is to help you create a secure future for your loved ones, no matter how messy or imperfect life may get. Bill, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity to help others. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. So it's kind of quite the journey. Can you share a little bit of your journey, which inspired your mission with us today?
Yeah, back when I graduated from Drexel in '91, I got involved almost immediately with Special Olympics and coaching. And then in 2000, my daughter was born and something just wasn't quite right. And to summarize it is that she just has a laundry list of things that she has to overcome on a daily basis. And it's a learning disability, it's a sight disability, it's a hearing and disability. She has issues with her liver and issues with breathing and food allergies and endometriosis. And it's almost like if it's out there, she probably has it in her system. And she's also probably a candidate that has undiagnosed Lyme's disease. So you have all these autoimmune deficiencies going on along with a learning disability. And when you look at her, she looks like Barbie. Right. And she's happy and she graduated from college, even though she was given a zero chance of even attending college, and graduated with an A average. So the purpose is to give people hope, to let them know that they can overcome. She overcame, and it gives them a little slice into reality that I've been there, I've done that, and gotten the T-shirt.
Yeah. And that's really incredible. That had to be kind of overwhelming to take on and to tackle or to figure out. But
yeah, that in combination, simultaneously having a mom who was in accounting all her life and sharp, suddenly just start going down that slippery coast where you have Alzheimer's and Lewy body dementia going on simultaneously, and so it was a gradual descent and becoming more and more dependent. And what took me 18 months to learn to prepare a house and what to be mentally prepared for, I could summarize in 20 minutes so that you don't make the mistakes out of love that I made, and you can prepare for it in advance and not be the personal long-term care policy for someone, but actually have a game plan to attack it with love.
Yeah. So you really do get to, help and dig deeper. And obviously you can relate to what I love how you call it perfectly imperfect families, which I think technically we're all perfectly imperfect, but some definitely have more challenges than others.
Everybody has that crazy uncle or brother or sister that just doesn't quite fit in. I always liken it to the old claymation series, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Land of Misfit Toys. So if you belong on that island of misfit toys, come join me because I'm here to help.
Yeah, I love that. So as an older single adult, what key financial advice would you recommend to ensure a secure future for those families?
As a single adult, there's two key factors. One, you want to look at your budget and know what your living budget of today is and what your living budget in the future is. And then we want to solve for that living budget in the future by creating a customized game plan through two key facets. One, a tax-free design, so what you earn is what you keep. And two, a self-funded pension. A self-funded pension is really important because you're taking your assets and you're removing stock market risk and any and all risk to accumulate a nest egg for retirement.
Yes, and you have I put the QR code up there. You have a tax-free design that people can access as well, correct?
Yeah. So what happens is you go in and you register, and there's no cost to have a consultation and to sit down and just talk, because it's about having a conversation and learning about you and your goals, dreams, and desires. And we create a unique vehicle to get you from point A to point B. And it's more of a marathon instead of a sprint. Um, and the getting to know you part of it is the best part, because everybody's situation is unique and distinct, and there's no two cases that are identical. They're similar, but they're not identical.
Right. And you cover all realms, right? You help small businesses with strategies as well.
Yeah, I work with small businesses on pain points. So pain points are what is preventing them from being the best version of themselves? Is it a positive mindset? Is it that they don't have an exit strategy? Is it that they have a problem with employee retention? Or do they have health game plan for, in other words, they have health insurance coverage, or do they not offer it to their employees? Are they saving enough, for their business
Hmm.
and operating expenses? There's a lot of things to tackle, but again, it starts with a conversation with small businesses.
So with those conversations, then you can come up with, like, say, specific strategies that can help implement. That way they can safeguard their personal and business finances. Because I know sometimes, especially small businesses, those tend to be commingled.
Yeah, I mean, I just met with a CPA this morning that was talking about people who operate exclusively with PayPal, and they're commingling their funds, and they don't realize the tax implications of it. So what I would tell people is, yeah, let's figure out what your current pain points are, and then allow me to help you solve for the ones you don't even have, have as a problem. For instance, you might have an HR issue. You might be too small to have an HR person, but you need someone who understands the rules and the laws. And I can introduce you to somebody that could work for you part time to solve your HR problem, and you don't have to lay out a large amount of money on an annual basis just to protect you so that you're legally safe. So there's, I want to be that guy who knows a guy, right? So you have a problem, I have a solution, so we can work together. And again, this is all free. It's part of value added of working with someone who's looking out for your best interest.
Yeah, and that's important too. You need people that are, not just about the bottom line, but like you said, looking out for your best best interests. I love that part. What are some of the pitfalls or worries about that? With, you were mentioned PayPal, and when people are commingling that, what are some of the tax
Well, here's
issues
some.
with that?
There's a couple obvious ones. One, when you commingle personal funds with business funds, it's actually income. So if you're paying your mortgage out of your PayPal because of funds coming in, that's it's taxable income. So you're avoiding paying Uncle Sam their due share. You're not also including into it Social Security, which you should contribute to, so that you have something as a nest egg when you retire. Also, there's ways to lower your tax base by paying yourself a salary and then taking deductions for retirement savings. There's also additional ways to take uh, take and protect your company for the greater good, meaning that you may want to have key employee insurance, such as on yourself, because without you, there would be no company. So there's things that you want to put into place that are safeguards. Having a good accounting person, yes. Having a bookkeeper, yes. Things that can allow you to do what you do best, which obviously it would not be the books, right? So
Right.
you want to just make sure you stay above board and out of trouble, so you don't get fined or back taxes or anything that possibly can go wrong.
What would you say are some things people should watch out for when they're looking for a good accountant? How do you know that that accountant is a good fit for you?
I'd say first step is to ask me because I'm in multiple states and I know good accountants already, the ones that you can trust. I actually have accountants that, when you're in trouble, get you out of trouble legally for pennies on the dollar. So, and that's what their specialty is. So, I think that that's really important, is to develop a relationship. But if you're saying looking for someone, it has to match your personality. So, if you have a conservative personality, then you want a conservative accountant. If you have an aggressive personality that understands people being aggressive meaning taking chances, then you align yourself with that. But the bottom line is you need to recommend and ask around what works for other people and why they like them.
Right. Yeah, and that's understandable because I've had some where I've had in the past where I had to actually pay more for somebody in case I did get audited, and but then there's other accountants that won't charge that; they stand behind what they do.
Yeah,
So
so the pay more so you won't get audited makes sense in certain circumstances. Most accountants will go do battle with you if they're reputable. If you do get audited, and they will not charge you for your time because they're the ones who put you into that situation based on how they filled out the paperwork. I am not a big fan of part-time, you know, I won't mention names on the air, but I'm not
right,
a fan of, we're only around open around tax season, and you know who they are,
yeah,
and then I rather go with the CPA firm or the accountant or tax specialist, because you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all the deductions that are available to you, both in the present and the future. You don't make a decision in today's concern that's going to have a ripple effect in the future for your retirement. So you save money today, but down the line you're subject to 40% tax.
hmm,
That's a bad decision, right? So you
yes.
you kind of want to weigh out each option.
Yeah, as a business owner, I would agree with you. To me, it's you kind of get what you pay for if you go the cheap route, and you could take it in the end later. But as a business person, I prefer to have an accountant that I build that relationship with, the trust. They get to know you, and so you learn, what you can do and not do, and there's a better understanding, I think, than someone just filling in blanks.
Well, you're not a widget or just a number on the screen, right? And next, next, next. It's not like going to Dunkin' Donuts, because that's all they say is next, or what else do you want, or what else do you want, right?
Right?
It's like they actually care. And so you want somebody that gives you the little TLC, right? That's
Yeah.
going to go the extra yard, because in the end, you got one life. Live it to the fullest, have fun, but do the right thing. Stay out of trouble, and just make sure that you prepare your mindset to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do specialize in perfect families, and you obviously have had experience with special needs. Can you explain the importance of special needs trusts and how they can benefit families with special need children?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Special needs trust. If your child is on the spectrum, or neurodivergent, or atypical, or IDD, any one of the labels, you want to take full advantage of all the things that are offered to you by the state, including healthcare, and if you're eligible for Social Security or disability income. Now, when you get a special needs trust, it allows the child or the adult child to continue to receive healthcare coverage as well as disability income. And if they're able to work, meaning bag groceries or walk dogs or do a job, the money is payable to that trust and not to the individual. Therefore, they don't lose the income that they are getting from the state, as well as the health care, which is really important. And it also enables you to create a living will or a living trust that takes into account the consideration of things the state doesn't provide, maybe certain types of therapies. And when you have money built up inside a living trust, it enables you to have to utilize a debit card and have transportation from the house to a therapy, and also have a personal care assistant be remunerated, so that mom and dad do not have to take time off from work. So it gives you some flexibility in scheduling. It enables the child to have, or adult child to have, independence, and you don't lose access to the state funds. So that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, maybe you can go into a little bit more detail of what exactly a living will and a living trust is.
So it's in the living, meaning that while the child is still alive and the parents are still alive, it creates a game plan of action or a day in the life. So a lot of times when I work with my clients, I ask them to write a day in the life from the time that the child or adult child wakes up to the time they go to sleep, and what that entails, and to update it every 6 months. So you know an action or what a game plan of action is for taking care of someone, and it's in writing because the state doesn't recognize verbal. And then as you continue to update it and upgrade it and put it through as the child ages, it shows changes in behavior as well as constants in behavior. So God forbid something happens to the parents, or they're delayed, or somebody has a stroke or a heart attack, you don't miss a beat in the caretaking of that said individual. They follow the rules and the game plan. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's in writing. Now, the difference between that and, say, a standard estate plan is that there's an article called a medical care directive, okay, that has somebody the ability to make the decisions for your benefit if you're unconscious, for your own mental health well-being, as well as a financial care directive, which essentially, if you're also not cognizant, not mentally there, incapable of speaking or writing, that the bills get paid, the mortgage, the credit card, the car payments, taxes, things like that, while you're incapacitated. So you have two types inside an estate plan or a trust that are written. And then you also have an after demise, or what I call, when someone passes, a game plan for the caretaking of your loved ones. And that is all done in writing. And the more detail you put in, the greater it is, because it leaves nothing unturned, and it doesn't create family strife. It doesn't air your dirty laundry in public. It enables you to address the tax situation prior to the passing. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration when you're doing that.
So yes, that leads me to another question, because me as one that always thought that was something that was later in life, and then I got slapped in the face with reality. We had a will because it was something that was required by the military when you were active duty. But what age would you recommend that people put these in place? Because like I said, I thought that would be something older, but then my husband died at the age of 36, and you never know what life is going to dish you out the next day. So what age would you say is best to start and put the living trust, living wills together?
So if you're a parent, the moment you become a parent is the moment that you put that into place. If you're an individual, my recommendation is to start as young as age 25. Just because, again, in writing, you might not own an asset. You might not even own your car. It doesn't matter. You start it and you get it in writing.
Right.
It's important to have things in writing. It establishes priorities. It establishes guidelines. It enables you to think things through. And I'm also able to help you, give you some basic questions to think about prior. I call it Estate Planning 101, Estate Planning 201, where I ask 6 questions to you. I give you what the question's definition means. This is how you're supposed to answer it. And then we review it, so that when you go to your attorney, you already have these things already written out, and your answers makes the attorney's life easier. It also makes the cost go down.
Yeah. And there's good reason to have things in writing, which we'll go into detail about when we come back, as well as unique financial planning considerations for blended families. But right now, we got to take a quick break from a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
In this world of perfectly imperfect families, I understand that each journey is unique. Each challenge is personal. I'm Bill Walters, a financial advisor for perfectly imperfect families. Picture this. Life's a journey, and I'm here as your ship's captain to guide you through the rough seas of retirement planning. My expertise? Transforming your dreams and goals into an actionable plan. I ensure your peace of mind by minimizing risk and decreasing your tax exposure. It allows your money to work for you. It's about solutions, making your golden years truly golden. I invite you to join me on this journey. Direct message me, and let's start shaping a future where every day is not wasted but cherished. Remember, when you're prepared, opportunity isn't lucky. It's the result of a careful plan of action. Let's make every moment count.
So you were talking about having things in writing, and there's a reason I believe that is important, and I think it might vary state to state. I'm not sure, but like I know of an individual that has serious health issues, but doesn't have a will or anything in place and doesn't want to do one because they feel like the parents just know what to do. Can you enlighten our audience about what happens when things are not in writing?
Yeah, it goes into the control of the state. And then all your public information becomes available, not only to neighbors, but to the dark web. So all your private information becomes public. It delays access to any funds or proceeds to the assets, and it operates under state law, which now courts are backed up, right? So it could be 2 weeks to 3 months before you have access to the assets, and you can't do anything, and you have someone to bury, right? And you have someone to put into their final resting place. Where's that money going to come from to pay for that? So these are all things that come into play. So state doesn't recognize verbal and simple tasks of getting things in writing. There's many ways you can get a will for next to nothing. You can go to, get something printed out where you fill in the blanks and then get it notarized and make copies. It depends on your budget. So that's one of the primary things is to figure out how much you can afford to pay for a will and then try to solve for that problem. And that's one of the things I do work with people on. It's not the purpose of our meeting, but it is something where I can help people get organized in that aspect.
Right. It's not something that a lot of people like to talk about, but it is important because things can get caught up. Some go into probate and things can get really drawn out and taken a really long time on that part for planning. But yeah, so I would say that's important. And like you said, there are services out there that can make it inexpensive to get that set up. It's fairly simple. So
yeah, the most important thing to keep in mind is when you pass, how easy do you want to make it for your beneficiaries, right? If you have an organized game plan, they're already in grief and crying. So you kind of want to smooth that transition to remember the good times. If it's creating more gray and white hairs to pop up on their head on a daily basis because they have to clean up the mess that you left, doesn't leave a great legacy, right? And you want to smooth that over.
Definitely. So you also work with blended families. What unique financial planning considerations should blended families keep in mind to protect everyone's interests?
Do you know that it takes 7 years for a blended family to actually become truly blended?
I
That's how
did
long
not.
it takes as an average. So the goals of a blended family um, are usually there's a line drawn, okay? And then I'm going to say usually because you might have kids from the dad might have kids from a previous marriage, the mom might have kids from a previous marriage, and then they might have joint kids. So it's like his, mine, and hers, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so what you want to do is have that conversation with your significant other and talk to them about a retirement game plan. What does that mean? It means how much do you want to leave? How do you want to set it up? Are we splitting it equally? These are things that need to be discussed. If there's certain things that have stayed in the family for years that have no value except intrinsic, you want them already outlined in the will, so it stays within the family, the right family. Okay,
Hmm.
rings, jewelry, artifacts, arts, pieces of furniture that mean a lot that don't have real value. The money side is pretty simple. If you say if you're still alive, you're going to get half, and the other 50% goes to my 3 kids, right?
Right.
Equally. So you want to have that all lined up so there's no arguments, no one feels left out. Um, and a lot of times when we work through with people,
Hmm.
we we figure out pretty quickly that they need to have a conversation outside the meeting room with me because they never thought about it. They want to have it in a situation where they put some time to process it, okay, and not leave anybody out. Don't exclude anybody that everybody's thought of.
Right. Yeah, I never knew that would like take 7 years. That's
To blend
to blend.
properly, yeah,
Yeah.
because it's meshing of two personalities and learning how to coexist without the constant strife and argument.
Okay. And that makes sense too. So you also work with the LGBTQ plus community, correct?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So how does life insurance function with their community, and is there specific options tailored for these individuals and families?
So, as a general rule, the insurance companies sort of keep at arm's length, which is why I don't keep at arm's length. And so we create a unique perspective, similar, if not identical, to the single parent, where we're identifying the needs of that specific person or persons and create a game plan because how they live their life is how they want to live their retirement. So we want that to be congruent. We don't want it to be, I live this level, right? And
Right.
in retirement, I live this level. Well, then you may only be able to maintain that lifestyle for 10 years and then you run out of money. And who wants to go work as a greeter at Walmart at age 75, right?
I
No,
don't.
right. So to put food on the table. So, and then there's nothing against Walmart. It's just being 75 and still working because you have to put food on the table.
Right.
So we want to create a unique, customized game plan that's suitable to their lifestyle and how they want to live. And I do that. No judgment.
Hmm.
To me, it's all about making sure the person's happy and secure.
Right. And I love that because I mean, we're all individuals. We all have that right to live our lives how we see fit. Like you said, you get that one life and you have to live it to what makes you happy.
Yeah. And so, and I'm not saying this as a caveat, but let someone else judge. You just want to love on the person and give them all the help you can give.
Yeah. Yep. And you work with caretakers as well. So, because obviously you've had experience with a lot of this. So, what practical advice can you offer caretakers or aging parents who are navigating both emotional and financial challenges?
So a lot of times the caretaker is a loved one. And while mom or dad is still cognizant and sharp, it's time to have that uncomfortable conversation about what do the golden years look like. And you want to get it in writing and you want to have it laminated. So when they get older, you say, well, mom or dad, this is what you asked for. Look, it's in writing. I laminated it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You said you wanted to stay at home and have, either a family member take care of you or outside service help when I'm working or when I have other things to do on my own. So you remind them that you're actually giving them their wishes. But as a caretaker, there are options within the state, especially when a person is older than the age of 18, which you can get a thing called a waiver within the state. And you have to apply for this paperwork through the state. And if a person's on disability, you can get paid by the state to take care of your own loved one, even though you're doing it out of love. It's something that can happen. The waiting list is usually long, but it's well worth it to at least apply. And it's not life-changing money. It could range between $14 to $25 an hour. But why not? If you can get paid for taking care of a loved one, you might as well take advantage of it. It puts money in your pocket, and you're able to still do the labor of love.
Do most states have that? Because I had a conversation with a friend of mine because he hasn't been able to work because he has to take care of an aging and an ailing mother. Do most states have that, or is it varies from state to state?
It varies from state to state, and specifically, I was referring to special needs.
Mm-hmm.
But in some cases, if you have long-term care and you have a game plan in place, then it doesn't matter which state you live in because the money can be withdrawn from your long-term care plan. And the good news is that if you're working with me, I can help families and individuals at 10% of the cost. So if you went and got a direct long-term care package, which all the people in insurance are now shuttering, it's not about commissions. It's about making your money do the greatest bang for the buck. And there's a way to do long-term care protection very economically, literally saving you 90 cents on the dollar and giving you the coverage you need and figuring out what you need and creating a game plan. And so, yes, I'm probably making people in my industry extremely upset by sharing that, but it's not about that. It's about helping you, the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, you're leading kind of like right into my next question, because my next question was going to be, is long-term care insurance truly worth the cost, and what factors should families consider before making that investment?
There are many factors. It always comes down to economics, right? So once you do a budget, once you know what your budget is in retirement, the facts are this: 70% of us are going to need long-term care help. 70%. So 30% are not. So 50% of us are going to live up to age 86 and beyond, and 50% are not. So when you take those odds into consideration, the average length of stay prior to COVID on long-term care was 51 months. After COVID, the average length of stay on long-term care, it's down to around 18 months. And the reason for that is that parents do not want to be dumped into a facility to die.
Right.
Okay, they want to be put into a facility where they're cared for and loved. So if the care comes at an assisted living, great. But if it's a state-run facility that has 30 people sitting in a waiting room drooling on themselves while the orderlies are eating lunch and not paying attention to the people, no wonder that they don't want to stay in that type of environment. So you got to put yourself into mom and dad's situation and create a game plan that takes care of them. And that game plan is getting long-term care insurance. But through a financial professional who's not there to take advantage of you. It's a simple transactional movement that can happen so that you do not lose your nest egg. It prevents your nest egg from being taken away from you and leaving that legacy for your family. Now, one key component is your house, which is your largest asset in retirement. You kind of want to put that into a neutral state, meaning ownership of a trust or ownership of the house to your kids at least 5 years before, it's because of a 5-year look back, before you even would consider going on long-term care. So what does that mean? Well, if you're 65, it's time to start thinking about switching the title and deed into somebody else's name or into that of a trust, so that when you do become in need of long-term care, the state cannot attack the asset of a house and your finances, right?
Right.
You don't want to lose all that hard work to be taken away in 15 months of care.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's all states, but I know in Colorado we had came up against that when my grandma was there, and luckily we found out in plenty of time. But otherwise, yes, things could have been attached to whatever she had left.
Correct.
Yeah. So how can families prepare financially for unexpected medical emergencies, especially when they're caring for special needs or aging parents?
So save, and save. Live underneath the means. Don't keep up with the Joneses and the Smiths. So what does that mean? In layman's terms, you want to gradually build up 6 months worth of savings called an emergency fund. And you want to build that up where you don't touch it. It's just there for an emergency. And that's just set aside so that all your household expenses are taken care of for 6 months. So if you lose your job, you have a 6-month cushion. If there's a storm and insurance doesn't cover the roof being damaged, there's your ability to pay for the roof. So if your water heater goes, or if your AC goes, and it's the middle of summer, you're not being stuck into a game plan, right? So first thing is to have an emergency fund. Second thing is to get into a habit of only spending 80% of your paycheck. So if you have 80, that's a tough number to swallow, but 80% of your paycheck. So you're saving 20% in some way, shape, or form for the future.
So people that maybe are struggling, because I know a lot of people out there are upside down or with the credit card debt and everything else. Is that another thing that you can help work with people as to, because maybe they're not even unsure how to even start saving or cutting back? Is that something you also do work with people on?
Yeah, I help people get out of credit card debt. It's another free service. I send over a program, and then you input the data of the program, the credit card, the amount, the interest rate, and we put it into the computer system, and it tells you how much you should pay on a monthly basis and how quickly that will be paid off. And it enables you to then allocate the proper amount of funds to the right area, and gives you a finish line. And that finish line is important because you don't work to pay bills and credit cards off. You work to bring joy and happiness to the family, and you have your money work for you. So in order to get out of credit card debt, which takes the albatross away, or the noose around your neck, or the weight of the world off your shoulders, once you're out of credit card debt, you have some freedom to exhale. It also doesn't mean you can't start savings, because saving something is better than saving nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What, in your experience, what are some common misconceptions about financial planning for families dealing with complex situations?
That if you're involved in the stock market and and it goes down, that it'll eventually come back up. That's one misconception. Or leaving in your money in your 401k is all you need is a solution for retirement. Now, the biggest conception of that is it's exposed to the stock market, which is something you don't control. So in one day or 1 year, like in 2008 or 2021, the market could drop by 40%. That's 40% of your nest egg gone while you need it, which changes how you live your retirement. Unless you have a game plan that doesn't prevent that loss, you're subject to that risk, and it's unnecessarily needed. So just remove yourself from that risk and take control of it so that what you keep doesn't go backwards.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. I think it also kind of goes along with not having all your eggs in one basket either.
Correct. You don't want to do that. The single largest expense that you're going to have in retirement is healthcare. After that, taxes. But if you live in a state that's highly taxed, it might be reversed. But healthcare is the largest expense that you can control of. So you want to make sure that you have a game plan that includes that and that includes travel, because it's important to take vacations and for mental sanity and for creating memories. And if you don't take vacations, then you should rethink how you're living your life, because vacations are a necessary need for mental health and stability. You need to escape, whether it's 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. And I'm sure you know a good person you can book a vacation with.
I do happen to be in travel, but I would totally agree with you. And I always tell people it doesn't have to be extravagant. It could just be one day. If you live in an area near mountains or whatever, just take the day off and get away from it all. If nothing else, it helps you reset and just forget all the stuff, and not everything has to cost money. I mean, you can go drive into the mountains to a park, go take a walk. Gas and time might be all it costs you. It doesn't have to be something expensive, but it gets you out of the norm.
Correct.
So 100% agree with you. So for those who may feel overwhelmed by their financial situation, what first steps would you suggest for them to take and regain control?
I think it starts with a positive mindset. You have to be open to change. Think, the obvious answer is reaching out to me, yes, but the secondary answer is change how you view life. Positive interaction brings positive thoughts, which bring positive results. Look at opportunities that are going to be presented to you as something new and different, and the net end results are going to be greater. So when we're looking at someone's retirement, mindset A. B, get yourself back into good physical shape so you live longer to appreciate things. C, remove stock market risks so that you control your future and you live your life the way you want to. And D, try to accumulate monies income tax free, so what you earn is what you keep. And when you follow that simple strategy, it all ties into a happier golden year because you've done everything correctly. And for those of you who have stumbled, tripped, hit a few speed bumps in the highway of life, it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Just realize that you have time to recover. Even if it means that you work into your early 70s, you still can create a game plan to get you on the straight and narrow to live a life of your type of abundance. Not the lifestyle of the rich and famous, but what you would enjoy in your retirement game plan. It's all possible.
Right. And positive mindset is huge. I think another huge part I would have to say is not to be afraid to ask for help and talk to somebody, because finances, taxes, all that stuff, that's a lot that a lot of people struggle with, but they don't necessarily reach out and talk to somebody about.
Brilliant point. That's why you're the host. I mean, yes, because people are uncomfortable. They know what the status quo is. They don't like this word called change, because they know, even though the current situation is uncomfortable, it's what they're used to. but change is good. Okay.
Yep.
You want to have productivity. You want to have positive returns. You want to enjoy life. Well, when you enjoy life with a positive mindset, even the little things are good. And the having control over where you get your coffee and the type of coffee is just as important as where you're going to live in retirement. Okay, because it's just baby steps. So, you know, go about and think about what's important to you is the necessities, and then create a game plan for you that you can live with that's going to bring you that little cup of joy in the morning, seeing a sunrise, seeing a sunset. These are all things that people take for granted, and they don't stop and smell the roses and take in nature.
No, they don't. And how many times do we get so overwhelmed with all the, it's almost like a hamster wheel. You worry about this, worry about that, but you're not taking action. Instead, you start drowning and spiraling in the wrong direction.
Yeah, sometimes it's okay to breathe, right? Take a
Right.
deep breath, recenter, refocus, concentrate on things that put you in your happy place, right? Whatever that is, right? And just take a breath. It's going to work out, but you need to set up, draw the line. I'm going to start today, not tomorrow, today.
Yep. Stop putting off to tomorrow what you can do today. I agree.
Yep.
So lastly, what personal stories or experiences from your own journey can inspire others facing similar challenges in their financial planning that you want to share?
Well, there's so many positive things that I could discuss, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I had a gentleman, his name was Ralph, and he was a roofer, and he came in and he was married to his lovely wife, and they didn't have any kids, but he was a hardworking man and he wanted to provide some security for his wife, and he was working on a roof. And I came to his house, and he was old school, right? Really old school, and wanted to sign paperwork, which was 102 pages via ink and pen because he didn't trust computers. So I come over to his house on a Friday night, and it's all disheveled, but which is very unusual. And his refrigerator broke, and he didn't have, and so they're cooking 5 meals at once, and so the food wouldn't spoil. And they're like, "Look, I need to get the refrigerator repaired. Can you wait till next payday, which is next week, so that I'll have the money for the deposit for my $2 million term policy?" And I'm like, "Sure." So on Wednesday of the following week, I get a call from Ralph's wife, and she goes, "I am the proud owner of a $2 million refrigerator." I'm like, "Wait, what? I don't understand." Right? And so she's like, "Yeah, see, Ralph was on the roof on today, and he had a heart attack, and he fell down, and and he's no longer with us.
Oh my gosh.
And there's nothing. We should have gone through with the policy." And she says, "So I have to go back to work at 51, and we have nothing to our names. And if you would have just gone through, I would have had the $2 million. I would have been set. And that's my regret. So please tell my story that it's not, don't delay, do it today." And that's a regular person. Okay, that's a regular person. So she owns a $2 million refrigerator, and literally, that's what happened because they delayed by 1 week.
Wow.
And he was in complete and good health. Okay. So on a positive note, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a gentleman who struggled all his life. And at age 79, he came into a large sum of money. And since he never had money, he did not know what to do with it. And so he was referred to me from a friend. and we've had multiple meetings, and he said, I need this to last. He said, I'm in great physical condition. I feel like I'm 50. I know that I'm going to live another 20 years because I'm a juicer,
Mhm.
I juice all my meals and I'm healthy. And I'm like, okay. So I want it to last. But I know that if I take this money, and when I say a large sum, it's $1 million, so people understand, and I need it to last beyond 10 years. And I said, I got you covered. And I created a game plan for him in which he has the ability to get, $8,000 a month coming to him for the rest of his life.
Wow.
And the the initial million, is only going to grow in the future. So he's going to start with $1 million, and when he's 95, he'll have 1.4 million and still get $8,000 a month. So his money's never, it's going to continue. That nest egg is going to grow, and he's going to live the lifestyle that he has. He has no real expenses. He came up with a number of 8,000. His actual bills are much less than that. So he's going to go out and take vacations and enjoy life and things like this. But I share with you that positive because everything is possible if you put your mind to it.
Yeah. And obviously 79. Yeah. You just never know.
Correct.
So, but yeah, and I want to thank you. We've got only a couple minutes left, but I wanted you to share with people what you want them to take away from this, please.
Sure. We know that life is tough and that the economy and circumstances with the runaway inflation makes things difficult. So, with a positive mindset, reach out, be open to change, and allow me to guide you through those straits and shark infested waters so that you can have a game plan that you can rely on from somebody that's not going to charge you, from someone that understands and has been through these circumstances similar to yours hundreds, if not thousands of times. Because in the end, it's about creating memories and enjoying life. And you're not going to find another financial advisor who has an open heart like mine, who wants what's best for you, because I've experienced it already and I know what you need and fill in the missing pieces. So there's going to be gaps in your protection from your existing financial professional that you're working with who hasn't even considered these things: tax-free retirement, removing stock market risk, long-term care preparation. And they haven't even considered tax and the implications of taxes in retirement. So take time to clear your head, stay positive, be open to change, and allow me to make a difference in your retirement game plan. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Yeah. And I would agree. Bill, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here, and thank you for being the heartfelt, heart-centered person that you are, and not judging people. I think that should help make it easier for people to talk to you. And like you said, it's a free consultation. You obviously have a lot of experience in the special needs and all the different areas. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. And I would encourage anyone and everyone that has questions to reach out and talk to Bill and get that help that you need. So thank you for being with us, Bill.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And everybody, we will see you next week. Have a wonderful week.